Hey there and welcome. Today we are cracking the code on one of the trickiest but coolest parts of English, the verbs that just love to break the rules. Let's jump right in.
So most of the time, English plays nice, right? You take a verb, like watch, you stick ed on the end, and boom, you get watched. Easy. But then you get these rebels. Go doesn't become good, which, let's be honest, sounds kind of weird. It completely changes into went. And that, right there, is where the fun begins.
So, let's get to know these rule breakers a little better. Instead of some boring grammar headache, think of them as these little characters with their own backstory. A lot of them are super old verbs from Old English that just decided to stick to their roots. They're not just breaking rules, they're basically historical artifacts.
So what's the official definition? Well, an irregular verb is just any verb that thumbs its nose at that standard ed rule for the past tense. It does its own thing, changing its spelling completely. The key here, and there's no way around it, is that you just have to memorize them. But don't worry, we're going to make that way easier.
Now, just because you have to memorize the words themselves, that doesn't mean it's a total free-for-all. Nope. There are actually some super simple, super powerful rules for how to use them. Think of this next part as your toolkit. Let's call them the 3 golden rules.
So here's the game plan. We're going to walk through how to build a simple, positive sentence. Then we'll look at how to make it negative, and finally, we'll cover how to ask a question. Once you get these 3 patterns down, you are going to be unstoppable. First up, the positive sentence. And honestly, this is the easy one. You just take your subject, I, she, they, and you pop in that special irregular past tense verb you've memorized. That's it. For example, the past tense of buy is bought. So the sentence is just, she bought a new car. Subject, she. Irregular past verb, bought. Simple as that. You've got this. Okay, on to rule number 2, making things negative. Now, this is where you really have to pay attention, because there's a little trick. We call in a helper word, didn't. But here's the crucial part. After you use didn't, the verb snaps right back to its original normal form, not the past tense.
So she bought a new car becomes she didn't buy a new car. Did you see that? Bought went right back to being buy. That's because the word didn't is already doing all the work of telling us this happened in the past.
And this brings us to the biggest, most common mistake people make. You would never ever say she didn't bought. Once didn't enters the scene, the verb has to be in its simple base form. So just burn this into your brain. No past tense after didn't.
All right, let's tackle our third and final rule, which you'll be happy to know follows the exact same logic. When you want to ask a question, you start with the word did, then you have your subject, and then, you guessed it, use the plain old base verb again. So, to turn our statement into a question, it just becomes, did she buy a new car? See? Once again, it's buy, not bought, all because that little word did is there to signal we're talking about the past. Did and didn't are basically your secret weapons here.
Okay, so you've got the rules. But which verbs should you actually bother learning first? I mean, there are hundreds. Well, you don't need all of them right away. Let's start with the A list, the absolute VIPs that you are going to use every single day. And here they are. You're going to recognize these right away. Be becomes was or were, go turns into went, have becomes had, things like eat becoming ate, and see becoming saw. These are the heavy hitters. Master these, and you're already way ahead of the game.
Okay, enough with the theory. You've got the rules, you've got the A-list verbs, now it's time to actually put this stuff into practice. The best way to learn is by doing. You ready? Let's give it a shot. All right, first one, last night and the verb is eat, pizza for dinner. What's the past tense of eat? Take a second, think about it.
If you said ate, you nailed it. Last night I ate pizza for dinner. Fantastic job.
Let's try another one. We, the verb is go, to the beach last summer. We saw this one right at the very beginning, remember?
And the answer is went, of course. We went to the beach last summer. See? You're totally getting the hang of this.
Okay, now let's practice rule number 2. Let's take a positive sentence. He went to school yesterday. How do we flip that into a negative? Remember the formula. You need didn't plus the base verb. So it becomes, he didn't go to school yesterday. Perfect.
All right, last one. Let's practice rule 3. The words are you, make, and dinner. Your job is to turn those into a question about something that happened in the past. How would you do it? And the correct question is,
Did you make dinner? Starts with did, then the subject you, and then that all-important base verb, make. Excellent work. So, let's do a super quick recap. Number 1, irregular verbs are just rebels that change their form. Number 2, for negatives and questions, your magic formula is to use didn't or did plus the simple original base verb. And number 3, and this is the most important one, you've absolutely got this.
And that's pretty much it. You've learned the code. So I'm going to leave you with one final challenge. Think about your day so far. Which irregular verb could you use to talk about something you already did? Go on, give it a try. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer.